Hello, friends, and welcome to the Weekend Catch-Up Club, the coffee morning show brought to you live every Saturday from 10 a.m. direct to Facebook and available later on catch-up at youtube.com/gamertagged. Again, I am joined by a wonderful friend of the community, the absolutely magnificent, the charming, the witty as all balls. It is James McLellan. How are you, buddy?
Hello, I'm the disappointment that follows that marvellous introduction.
Oh, my goodness. So another Saturday, man. How are you doing in terms of like lockdown and stuff? How's everything going?
Um, Same as every other day in lockdown. But no, fine. It's fine. It's just weird. It's all been it's been an interesting mess, I
Yeah.
think is the only way to describe it. But
Yeah.
we tick along. We
Yeah.
adapt. It's what we do.
We absolutely do, and I'm so excited and happy to see that you're repping the gamer
Oh,
tag.
absolutely.
Look at that tee, the Pokemon.
One of Yes, I was very, very pleased when you sent me the link for that one because, as you know, I'm a big old nerd.
You are a big old nerd, but you're a gorgeously lovable nerd. So can
I
you?
try.
Yeah, I'm actually a little bit worried that people are just going to think that our webcam or my webcam is just mirrored. And I've like,
Yeah.
it's like one of those like old Eddie Murphy movies where he's playing all the roles. So that's what I'm
The
going to
Nutty
do.
Professor, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm basically going to be like pretending to be every single guest in all future shows.
That's yeah. It's weird as well because obviously I'm sat here at the moment and I've got you're in the large screen and I'm in the small one, and a couple of times it's out of the corner of my eye I've caught myself moving while you do, and it almost looks like it's one of those webcam bits of software that just puts a 3D image over
Yeah.
you.
It's like a deep
I'm
fake.
I'm
We're
trying
doing like
not
a
to
deep
copy
fake or
emotions.
something. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I'll try not to mirror you too much so we don't confuse people. But
Yeah. Actually, we,
I'm
we could get a
definitely.
little Congo thing going on as well. If we both bob like at the same time, side to side. Look at that. See,
I'll get
we're in
seasick
unison.
in a
Yeah,
minute.
I know.
No, I'm
Yeah.
definitely more scruffy than you. This is not prepared. This is just laziness.
So, buddy, you and I go back a long way. We first, I think, met back in the glory days, the golden years of EGX at Earl's Court, and that
Yeah,
was originally the life, the love of stick twiddlers and the after parties. So, can you
yeah.
tell everybody? Basically, your history with stick twiddlers. You're now at a mid game crisis. You do a lot of streaming. You do a lot of charity work. Just give us the full skinny.
Well, I basically, I mean, as you know, and anyone who knows me knows, I've got gabby leg to put it one way. So I spend a lot of time sat. So I started writing, and I'd never really written about games. I'd just written nonsense. And I wrote an achievement guide for Halo, which was only ever designed to entertain, and then got a call from Alan, and it was like, "Do you fancy writing for Stick Twiddlers?" as it
Yeah.
was then, and that was it. I just started writing nonsense for them, and then started coming to EGX, obviously, and then got fully embroiled in it.
Yeah.
And yeah, we just plodded along. Obviously, we would do the after parties, the Stegex of Legend after parties, which I still remember probably about 75% of. And not even through consumption of beverage, just through sheer
It's a
panic. I think.
toaster.
Oh, he's still
He's,
got my
he's still
toaster.
got that. So for anybody in the chat who's dumbfounded by what the f that means, one of the years at the EGX, the Eurogamer Expo, that stands for, the after party, which was one of the highlights of the gaming calendar by far, and it was organised and run by the amazing people at Stick Twiddlers. And they used to always have these epic raffles of prizes, and yeah, we would part with copious amounts of cash to raffle tickets. I think there was 6 of us that went as a group, all of the lads, and I think we would drop about 30 or 40 pounds just on raffle tickets. And anyway,
Yeah.
we rather embarrassingly won a lot of the raffle prizes, and one of them was a Guild Wars 2 toaster. So what it does is you put your bread in the toaster, and it will actually burn or toast the Guild Wars 2 logo onto your bread. And
It's a thing of beauty.
it became infamous of screaming, "It's a toaster!" Oh, that's kind of
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
Alan actually has. There's one in Alan's loft because I claimed one. We wound up with another one at some point, and this was sort of. I think it was actually post party that it arrived, and so I claimed it for the collection because I've got, I mean, sat to the left of me is just gaming tat, just for as far as the eye can see.
But I'm loving the comic book stuff in the back of your right, but directly behind you, you've got classic like Thor and Venom. Come on,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
That's just trade secret. That's actually last year's Marvel calendar, which I have reappropriated because I'm a great one for putting together displays out of nonsense. So, but yeah, the after parties were interesting. Awful lot of stories, awful lot of stories that could never be repeated, probably as well. And then we kind of went on hiatus through life, just getting in the way.
Sure, it happens. It happens.
Yeah, it's a shame. I mean, when EGX moved, that sort of made things a little bit different as well for us for organisational purposes. So
sure.
And then we wanted to make a comeback, and ST had been quiet for too long, and we kind of felt like a rebrand might be in order. Plus, we're all getting a little bit older, or in my case, a lot older.
A little bit crankier.
So I'm sure I'm aging faster than any of you because you all look so vibrant. And then I look at my face in the mirror in the morning, and it looks like you know that famous image of the Joker where he stapled his own face back on. That's me when I wake up. It's just everything seems to be sagging slightly. So
yeah, it's called beautify filters and copious amounts of makeup and green screen effects to just like impose various things. That's all.
See, this is the magic I need to learn because I just put my face out there. So, but yeah, so we decided to sort of rebrand. So there were a few misstarts with trying to. We were talking before the show about we've a couple of times sat down to record a podcast and things, and just the magic wasn't because the subject matter didn't grab us. The magic wasn't quite there. We always have fun doing it, but you listen back to it and think, nah, it's not quite right. And obviously, we were very proud of our podcast over the years, so we didn't want to sort of just chuck something out there that we weren't happy with. And then, thanks to lockdown and UPC and a hell of a lot of time on our hands, it became we went back to streaming, and then I haven't sort of looked back from there at the minute.
That's been actually the great thing, because we talked about this with Ebbs from Sega on episode 4 of the Weekend Catch Up Club. And as lockdown has actually enabled, well, I mean, streamers have always been enabled to communicate and broadcast and do things online, but the lockdown has really given a platform to a lot of the companies that were maybe not ready to develop all of these apps quite so, to expedite it quite so fast. But they've had to get the platforms and the tools out there because people are now like frantically demanding them. And we're beginning to see, I mean, even our own show, this Weekend Catch-Up Club, is to learn all these skills at a much higher rate than you probably normally would. Is allowing people to jump online, experiment with getting their message out there, experiment with just engaging and connecting. And it's probably the only good thing that's come out of 2020 this year.
Yeah, it's nicely slotted in between the murder hornets and the incoming asteroid field and everything else that's sort of...
and the forest fires of Australia as well to start the year as well. I mean,
it's got to the point now where, to sort of crib from an old Mark Maron sketch, it's got to the point where you'd believe anything in 2020. Like, they could tell you, they could literally say, oh, they've decided that they're going to concrete the Grand Canyon and turn it into a car park. And you'd be, yeah, I guess that makes sense. They're probably doing that now. It's weird. The news these days, I have to deep dive. I mean, I do anyway, because I cannot be one of those people who just shares the link the minute it pops up. I like to know what I'm sharing, but even so, it's more necessary than ever.
Wait a minute. You don't actually read the articles and delve into the articles, Jamie. What madness are you? Let's drown you, burn you at the stake. You're clearly a witch.
Do you know what? You joke, but I have genuinely fallen out with people for replying with Snopes links, and I haven't. They've fallen out with me just because. You see things like, baby food recalled because it's full of scorpions, and you think, oh, I don't want people to worry about the scorpions, so you send them a link saying it's okay, don't worry, this was a mistake, and then they get a little bit antsy, I think, because they feel like they've been called out, which is not the case. You just want people to not worry about baby food full of scorpions. So, but
we've just got a comment in the chat there from my buddy Eric saying deers are now hunting humans in 2020.
I believe it. you could tell me anything this year, and it would just be yeah, I can see that. So,
anything can happen, right? Yeah.
as you said, like, necessity being the mother of invention and all, it does. It has forced the creative hand of a lot of people. It's also, I mean, obviously, a lot of people have had more time on their hands as well, which has helped. So, but like you said, with companies have been making leaps in getting apps out to people so that they can connect, and then seeing what some people have been using them for has been fantastic. So there's been some great stuff, this show included, which has been
Well, thank you, sir.
making for
Thank
Saturday
you. Yeah,
mornings.
we managed to steamroll through the pilot phase of 5 weeks, and we're now into. I don't even know if you could call this like the syndicated phase, where the show gets picked up, and then we managed to land on a network for a full season run. I don't really know if we can call it that, but anyway.
As long as you don't go with Fox, you'll be fine.
Yeah, come hell or high water, we're going to be doing this every Saturday, hopefully, anyway. Yeah, so tell me a little bit about all of the amazing charity work you've been doing, because a few weeks ago, maybe even a few months ago now, you embarked on a marathon streaming session. It started out with 1 26-hour marathon, but it cascaded across the whole month, and we jumped on, like members of the community jumped on to give you support and help kind of generate that kind of fundraising buzz as well. But you guys have just been like crazy dedicated with raising money for McLellan.
Yeah, it came out of. So there's a friend of ours who's going through a particularly hard time at the minute, and me and Alan were talking about it, because we're both very much, when you get that sort of news from someone, we're both very much those people who are like, oh, I'm useless now, I can't help them, so I've got to do something to help at least something regarding it, and it sort of spurred us. So we talked about, obviously we've done 24-hour streams in the past. We always used to do the special effects streams and that sort of stuff. So we were talking about what we could do, and it was kind of born out of a joke of Alan saying, "Look, he said we're too good to just do 24 hours. We'll have to do more." Because we do have a tendency to jokingly have very large egos when it's just us talking to each other, and we sort of goad each other a wee bit. So it started with that, and then we decided on 26 hours purely because we said we're never going to run a marathon 26 miles, but we can sit on our asses for 26
hours. Yeah.
Right, we'll do that.
Yeah. How are the piles after that?
I genuinely, not piles, but genuinely, after the first session, I couldn't walk for a day. My back locked, and I was absolutely useless.
Muscles have atrophied, everything. You haven't used them for a whole day and a bit, so.
Yeah, I felt a little bit like Neo coming out of the Matrix for the first time, so it was interesting, but because it's the first time I've done that for a few years as well. I haven't done a lengthy session like that for a while, so but so we organised it, and then again through constantly goading each other on to go further, we decided that we wanted to just stream for the month, and obviously that wasn't feasible. Just one of us sat at a PC, so. We obviously, you jumped in and streamed, and we had our mate Maka was streaming, and we had all the guys were joining in, and we were doing as many streams as possible, and then hosting friends of ours over the course of it. So that the idea was our channel was going to be live for as much as humanly possible, and we'd be pumping out the links, and then we rounded it off with a successful, which I cannot get over, attempt at the World of Warcraft world record for longest stream, and we made it. It was 36 hours and change. I should remember that. You would think, it's been strange to me. It's one of those things that you would think you'd remember when you break a world record. And I'm like, I know it was 36 hours, but I cannot remember the number at the end of it because I was practically blind.
Yeah, because you're like me, where we do a lot of our streaming and gaming at a desk in front of a PC monitor, so we are really close to the light, like in a Bug's Life. It's so beautiful. we're drifting toward the blue light, literally blue light coming from your monitor. So to be square-eyed like that for that length of time is, it's incredibly dazzling and sore and painful in the eyes. Yeah,
it was. Yeah, it got interesting. So obviously under the official world record rules, you accrue breaks. For every hour you play, you get 5
Okay.
minutes. So,
Okay.
and you can store them up and use them in a block.
Okay.
So I think we had accrued about 2 hours by not moving, and we got to a point where I was like, right, I'm going to need to take. So I said, I'm just going to take an hour. This was the big mistake I made. I'm going to take an hour.
Yeah.
So I went and lay down for an hour, and I nearly didn't get back to the desk because I couldn't get off the couch. And then I got back out, and I got back, and I managed another hour, but I was still out of it. So I went away for another hour. So it was that whole. Alan always talks about like the rough hours. He actually had a whole playlist built for the rough hours, so that when it hit, we could start blasting incredibly loud music and things into our. So
You should have
and
got
it
Scott
worked.
Watson just to get on the phone and do some of his thrash metal into your ear
That would
holes.
have done
You
it.
know,
That would
that
have
would have
done
got
it.
you, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Would be nice to hear his dulcet tones at
Yeah.
4 a.m. as I go
So,
completely screen blind.
there's some Anthrax just like belting out there. Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Oh,
They don't call him
but yeah.
vocal girth for nothing, eh?
No, this is true. This is true. The man's got some pipes on him. But
Yeah.
yeah, so that was, and we sort of rounded out there. I'm not actually at the current time. I'm not sure how much we raised because the page kept going afterwards, and we did a few little bits and pieces, and we're in the process of planning our next attempt. Where we had a bit of an issue with the. This is the sad part. We had a bit of an issue with the evidence from the world record attempt with the stream to submit it.
Okay.
So
what was the
I
problem
think
then? What were they kind of questioning?
there's you have to have an active timer on the screen, and it has to be
Oh.
active throughout the breaks as well. And we realised that a couple of times, basically, we had it on a. I've got a We Kindle Fire, so we had a timer on that
Right.
because they said it has to be a physical presence in the room. You're not allowed to just put a digital one up because obviously that can be manipulated. So we had a We Kindle Fire sat next to me, showing the time, and it turned off a couple of times during breaks, which.
Damn it.
We might get. It takes quite a while to get submitted anyway. We might get away with Al was working on it, but just in case, and because we've now we've sort of switched from Twitch to Trovo at the moment, doing streaming there. We've decided that we're going to. We've talked about it a couple of times. We're gonna go for the world record again and try and beat it by more, and we're gonna do it on the new
Wow.
channel. So
Wow.
I've-
I'm glad you brought up Trovo. So explain to me what Trovo is, because I've never heard of it. And the only ones I know about are the now sadly defunct Mixer, obviously Facebook Gaming, and Twitch is still the big one that everybody's on. But so what's Trovo?
Trovo is. Okay, I'd probably get myself in trouble. Trovo is Twitch,
Okay.
because it has. When you look at it and the way you work with it as well, it does look and feel a lot like Twitch. Like it's.
Okay.
I know there's only so much originality you can throw behind things, but it also has been lifted and dropped a wee bit. But it's legally distinct enough, I think, is that. So
They've changed the colours of the interface, but everything else is a match. Yeah.
yeah, some of the buttons are in different places. And
Yeah.
That's fine. So no, it's Trovo. Alan had read about it, sent me over some info, and I had a look at it. Between us, we thought we'll give it a shot because it's a wee bit smaller, and the thing that we really enjoy about streaming is getting the chat going and getting interaction with people and stuff. Like it's no fun if you can't see who you're working with talking with. Sorry, too early.
Getting you up nice and early on a Saturday morning and getting your brain to function as well. What's that all about?
It's the functioning brain bit that's tricky. The awake I had down, but so so we thought, well, we'll give it a go, and it's obviously it can be tricky to build an audience on Twitch. You're one in a sea of many, and we've been away for a while, so our existing audience was kind of elsewhere, and Twitch was going fine, but we weren't always getting the interaction that we quite enjoy. And we're doing this for fun more than anything else, and also for the charity streams when we're doing those. So we thought, like, we'll give Trovo a whirl and just see how it feels, and it feels nice. It's there's a good community. They've got a good Discord server going, so everyone interacts with each other and promotes each other quite well. But also it works well because it's got that mad 10-cent money behind it. So it's
I see.
Yeah.
I see. It's from there. Gotcha.
Yeah, they threw buckets of cash at it to try and get it working fast. And again,
Okay.
it seems to have sort of appeared during lockdown. So I think it's. I've seen some people say they're going for a Twitch killer and all this sort of stuff. And I don't know about that, but I don't think it hurts to have other options out there in the
It doesn't.
market.
That's why it was so sad with the Mixers basically shut its doors. It was never really able to make a foothold. But saying that, it was still hugely popular, and it was doing things within the broadcasting space that Twitch has been lacking far behind. I mean, I noticed just the quality of the bitrate was usually a lot much higher.
Yeah,
Even though it's still 1080p versus 1080p, but the quality of the video footage is just way higher. But saying that, you've also got the ability to easily co-stream within the app,
yeah,
easily get more audience participation features within Mixer itself as well. These are all features that Twitch should have really jumped on as soon as Mixer started to do it. But Twitch has just been stagnant for a very long time because it has such a large footprint in the broadcasting space. They don't really have to innovate that much.
yeah. I think it's easy to rest on your laurels when you already control the audience and the market share. So it which is a shame because obviously, we're both, we're fans of one of the fields that is always on the gaming's always on the cutting edge, or at least always should be. You're
Yes,
always
yeah.
looking at the next bit of tech and looking at the next engine and looking at the next game and looking. And it should be the same for the streaming services that we used to show people the frustration that we feel at failing repeatedly at a game. And when it doesn't do that, it definitely it hurts the community that watches, because obviously the less options they've got, the less interesting interactions that they've got. The thing that I enjoy with Trovo as well is on the Discord, their devs are very active, so they're forever. You can pop in and say, "Oh, I was wondering if you could do this," or we'd quite like this, and they respond, even if it's something that they're not working on currently. They tend to respond and go, "Oh, we'll add that to the list," and that sounds interesting. So
Yeah.
it's quite good. They also are. It was quite fun. When we first joined, they had maybe 10 games in the categories, so everything else was just other.
Okay. Wow.
I think it was Minecraft, World of Warcraft, Fortnite,
Yeah.
Call of Duty, like
All the big ones.
expected.
All the big ones. Yeah.
Yeah,
League of Legends,
and
probably.
then
I would imagine.
yeah, oh yeah,
Yeah.
League of Legends definitely. Well, I mean, 10 cents. So I think that's the other thing as well. One thing I think we might see is some poaching of League of Legends streamers to Trovo
I would have
and
thought
things
so.
like that. So you'll start to see a wee bit of that going on. But it was interesting because most everything we were playing was other, because we were finding all these little indie games to sort of mess about with.
Yeah.
But now the category list is growing, because basically anytime someone wanted to play a game and it wasn't in there, they would pop in the Discord and say, "Oh, you haven't got Barra Trauma, and you haven't got Stranded Deep, or you haven't."
Yeah, games that most people have never heard of, like super obscure titles. Yeah.
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 And then within a couple of days, it's in the list. So it's quite nice. They listen. How long it'll last? If they make enough money, they'll stop listening. That's how these things work. Just for lack of time. But.
Well, the good thing about Trovo, it sounds like they're young, like the Hamilton lyrics. They're young, scrappy, and hungry.
Yeah.
So they can just come out like blazing with like experimenting with these cool features, these cool things, and just kind of be a little bit reckless, a little bit edgy, and just engage more with the audience that is getting behind the platform at a very early stage. It's that kind of ground floor level. Give us your input, and then let's just try stuff. Let's just experiment with stuff, and that is something that I find really engaging and interesting. And just any company that is, I mean, bigger companies can do it as well, but they just don't do it that often because of maybe the risk factor with their brand is a little bit too high, and they don't want to rock the boat with their current platform or user base. But to just get out there and say, you know what, we're just going to be having a full experimental phase where like we just go crazy, we just go wild with what we're going to be experimenting with. Like, throw us your suggestions. We'll like have a workshop or something like that and see what we can do, and just like start adding features and messing about with stuff. So
yeah, that's the thing. I mean, and it definitely it fits with the sort of general philosophy that we've had through Stick Twiddlers into mid game, which is we always we were only ever going to do it while it was fun. We never, we stopped. I mean, one of the things we stopped on ST was we stopped writing news after a while because, for the most part, because everyone put all the news out there.
It's so difficult without a huge team to keep on top of that. I mean,
Yeah.
back in the very early days of Gamertag, when we had our website going, we tried to get like the press releases up onto our WordPress blog at the time. It's impossible. You just cannot keep on top of it, and that's
No.
why we decided to basically step back from all that stuff and do a different style of content that, first of all, we can actually do, and that is maybe just different from everything else, because everybody's posting reviews, everybody's posting like playthroughs and like opinion pieces and stuff like that, whereas doing something like the weekend catch up club is, I'd like to hope, something just a bit different, and the fact that it's exclusive to the community. Yes, you can watch it later on YouTube and stuff like that for everybody, but that kind of the live experience is exclusive to the community, because it's the community that builds a platform. It builds that safe space that we try and make good for everybody. And it's just, but yeah, going back to like writing news and stuff like that, it becomes impossible. It just snowballs to keep on top of it, to be, because you fall into that trap of trying to be the first person to get it up, but you'll never be the first person. You've got these mega sites that can just get it up there, and they'll get the early access like news, like dropping into the getting teased information beforehand, all that kind of stuff as well. So it becomes impossible.
Oh yeah, it's a nightmare. I mean, one of the first things I did when we spun up the new mid-game website, which has been fairly quiet because obviously that's a learning curve. I think is noticing that you do everything via social and streaming and video, and then you've got a website sat there thinking, I don't use this for much, but I have a couple of ideas, so I've been ticking away on that. But when we spun that up, one of the first things I did out of pure habit was I went and signed up a new account on GamesPress to get the press releases come through on a daily basis. And they arrive, and I click the red, and then I move on with my day. I don't need any of it, because if it's something that I'm actually going to be playing or talking about on stream or anything like that, then I'll have looked it up. And if not, I don't have time to read 30 press releases from games that I'm never going to play.
Exactly. And Eric just mentioned in the chat there, which we pulled up on the feed, news is so hard and not very fun to chase, whereas he loves the discussions here. And I think that is something that is not just incredibly inspiring and motivating for us to do these, but it is feedback from the community to say, okay, and as you've just mentioned, Jamie, you're not interested in 50 news articles coming through of headlines of just like a roundup of the main, like all of the news, but to have conversations with people that you don't normally are privy to or get access to or would never find out about, then that's more meaningful. It's a more meaningful style of content, which I really love doing. Yeah.
It is, and it's easy to find the facts, release dates, and technical specifications and things. That's all over the place. So you can find that, but when you can sit down and like when you had Sean on and you had Ibrahim on, and you get to, it's nice to get that perspective and just as much as I hate to use the word banter, which is more enjoyable. It's why I love Creative Ramble as well. Well, I'm a couple episodes behind at the minute, so I will get caught up, but it's why I love it, because it's nice to hear people. I always find it's nice to hear people who are interested about a subject talking about the subject, but just talking about it because they want to, as opposed to the game will be released on the 23rd of April. Thank you for. But yeah, I don't have any love for that anymore.
Yeah. I think people are wise to saying, I don't want just a robotic fact checking or that kind of thing. We want to hear just good conversations. There's nothing that's scripted. And again, it sounds like I'm promoting heavily my own stuff here, but the Creative Ramble is what myself and Eric try to do. Is literally, it is a ramble. We have a topic that we want to discuss, but then like wherever the conversation goes, we go off in tangents like crazy. We have a lot of banter, and it's that very informal, very chilled, just funny chat conversation like you would have down the pub with your friends, and that's, I mean, you do that, you and Al do that incredibly well as well on your stuff, and it's the kind of things that we we as an audience, I think, just love to get more of, because it's easy to listen to, and you can do it whilst you're doing your other things as well. And I think that's the best type of content, personally.
Yeah, no, I'm the same. I mean, I have to admit, as with any podcast I enjoy, the Ramble sometimes takes me 2 listens, because I have a tendency to go to bed and I lie there and think, right, I'm going to listen to the latest episode. So I put it in, and I'm lying there very interested. But because I tend to go to bed at around 4 in the morning when I'm already wiped out.
Jesus Christ,
right, I get
you and Eric are exactly the same. He does like 4 a.m. bedtime as well.
I don't sleep. I mean, about 4 o'clock I'll go to sleep, and I'm usually up about 7 tops. Like, I'm not a sleeper. Hence my caffeine input is so heavy. But it's not a healthy. I am not promoting this as a lifestyle choice to anyone. Don't do it. It's awful. But I've adapted. So. But
Cool.
yeah, so I'll quite often, I do this with all the podcasts I love, because I'm a huge fan of the Actually Do It podcast, because obviously I'm a big wrestling fan, and I listen to Smodcast, and I always listen to a podcast when I go to bed, and I always have to listen to it again the next day while I'm sat eating my breakfast, because I've fallen asleep about 20 minutes from the end and have to listen to the last bit.
Yeah.
It drives me insane. So, but I listen to a lot of podcasts. I listen to Ramble and that while I'm grinding in games as well. So. It's another place they're great for. But that's what I like. Yeah.
So you mentioned grinding there, and that is a nice little springboard into what you've been playing quite excessively over the past little while, and that is World of Warcraft. Now, World of Warcraft is the OG MMO, and you, like, originally when World of Warcraft came out 20 years ago, would it be now, thereabouts? Must be good. It must be 15 years ago, maybe.
15 years ago.
About 15 years ago.
Yeah, because classic.
Yeah. So I'm assuming you were a massive fan back then as well.
Well, I came in a little bit late. I was a huge fan of the idea, but I didn't have the system to run it at the time.
Got you.
But I'm an old school MMO player, because I used to play Ultima Online.
Now we're talking.
I
we're
love
talking.
That game.
Yeah.
I put hours of my life into that, and I just realized I'm smacking my desk.
Don't worry, it's fine. It's not coming through.
I emphasize, but
bang! That's how much I like this game. Bang!
Hours of my life went into that game, because it was me and a couple of friends who were playing it at the time, and one of the things I loved with that, which Blizzard really need to pull their socks up and catch up with, was player housing. You could buy a plot of land and build a house.
Okay.
And I had a house with a library in it, which had a full set of just shelves, and it was rune books, and you could open them and portal to anywhere in the world. It took me, I don't know how long it took me, and I loved that game. And then it got very stagnant. It kind of went quiet. It wasn't a lot going on in it, and there were people dropping away from it, probably to Warcraft. And I was interested in playing, and I had played a bit, but like on a friend's account. Like, I got him on his place, and he was like, "Oh yeah, you should try it. Spin up a character, see what you think." So I had dabbled with Warcraft, but I came in during Cataclysm, so it was after the first 2 expansions. So that would have been. I've been playing for about 11 years, I think, roughly. So on and off. I do have breaks from it, usually because another game comes out. And then I go back, but I've never moved away wholly. But yeah, I've been playing for about 11 years, and I love it.
That's crazy. Eric's just saying, I knew I liked you. Ultima for the win.
Oh, yes. It was such a good game. And apparently it's back and free to play, and I keep meaning to dive in. That's what I'm sure someone told me, it's back and free to play, or a version of it. So I'm going to take a look at some point, and I'll stream it, obviously. But
Jamie, you know that you're just Alice, and Ultima is the rabbit hole. Don't do it to yourself. We've already lost you to Warcraft.
It's why I haven't done it yet, is genuinely because I fear that I'll stop playing Warcraft, and I can't now because I've been suckered into becoming a raider, so I'm kind of required. Well, actually, with my DPS, I don't think I'm required, but I'm sometimes useful.
Oh my goodness!
So
what's your go-to class in Warcraft?
Frost Mage. I am a Frost Mage.
A Force Mage? What's that?
Frost Mage.
Frost Mage. Sorry, beg your pardon.
As a mage, you've got 3 specifications, which are Frost, Fire, and Arcane. And Frost is as I'll need to check the meta, but Frost was the best DPS. Now, it depends on what you want to do with them. So like a fire mage has got more cast on the move spells. So if you're going to be very mobile, then it's handy because you can cast while still walking.
Yep.
As a frost mage, I can theoretically, as long as I get my rotations and everything right, I can pour out an awful lot of damage, but I have to be standing still to do it.
Okay.
Which is great when you're in a raid where the floor suddenly gets carpeted with acid, and you're like, well, I have to move now. So we were actually I'm in a new guild which Alan's actually the raid leader for. The guild, weirdly enough, the guild's called Midlife Crisis, which was completely unlinked to us being mid-game crisis. We're not quite sure how it happened, but it so with that, Alan was going over the logs because I didn't realize how intense it gets when you're actually in a proper a raiding guild, and it is intense. And he was going over the logs, looking at. It's like, well, you've got downtime of 20 seconds here where you're not doing any damage. I was like, well, that's what I was running for my life. And he's like, yeah, I know, but he said, find a way. Okay, so it's a lot of time. I mean, I found myself doing something in Warcraft I've never done, which I stood for an hour in front of a training dummy in one of the cities, just practicing my spell rotations. And then I realised, like, I've put more effort into this than I've put into some jobs over the years, so this is ridiculous. But it's fun.
And you end up just doing Leroy Jenkins anyway, so all of that training goes out the window in the heat of battle, right?
Yeah, it does. One of the things that the guild tends to do is there's a toy in WoW called the whitetail carp, and it is literally a fish you place on the floor and you can kick it.
Okay.
And Warcraft's a really weird one to explain to people when you start to get into stuff like that. I think, why have they got that? I don't know. They just put it in. So, but it's a bit of a tradition with the guild that they put the fish down and see how close they can kick it to the boss without pulling it.
Right.
So we were there. Alan was going over the raid tactics because obviously each boss has different mechanics, and so some of them have got AOE that you have to watch out for, and some of them have got front cone attacks, and there's all this stuff. So we were there waiting for the guild, and in the back, I'm just noticing as Al's talking, I was noticing one of the guys who is a rocket, and it was kicking the fish, moving a bit closer, kicking the fish. And I thought he cannot get one more kick in on that without pulling it. And I haven't said a word. And I was watching, and I'm looking, and I watch him run up to kick this fish. And then I just see this dragon walking towards the group. And all you hear are these screams of panic as everyone dives for the exit. And then the whole raid got wiped. And that's a meta. Serious raiding guild.
Yeah, it's a meta game, like the fish kicking towards your bosses. Yeah, you need meta game leaderboards in World of Warcraft.
They are. Unofficially, they're a thing. There are guilds that run all sorts of weird and wonderful stuff like that. I mean, we're looking at social stuff at the minute as well, so we'll be doing trans mount competitions and treasure hunts, and it really can become a full-time job. Which, ask Alan, because I'm pretty sure Al's been fired more times than I can count for playing World of Warcraft.
Yeah,
it's possibly an exaggeration, but we
got some guys in the chat who are huge Pokemon fans, and especially Eric. Eric's my boy that is Pokemon mad. You're Pokemon mad. So what I want to do is get both of you on the Creative Ramble to school me and educate me on Pokemon. But just for the moment, Jamie, tell me all about your love for Pokemon.
Oh God, I had an original Game Boy for Christmas one year with Pokemon Red, and sat down and thought, I'll give this a whirl, and just.
Do you still have it by any chance?
Oh yeah, it's sat in it's sat actually in a box somewhere in this living room because I'm trying to find a space to put it on the shelf. But yeah, I fell in love with the game, and then the weird thing is that one of my friends actually says to me that I am the biggest fan of Pokemon he knows that never plays Pokemon anymore. And I see a Game Boy.
You do see a Game Boy. See, nobody can see that just yet. It was going to be a reveal. You just spoiled it, but that's okay.
Oh shit!
There you go. So there you go, guys. That is a mint condition original Game Boy box. Look at that. How gorgeous is that? There you go.
It's a thing of beauty.
It is. It is.
Even the packaging. It's very Tron, actually. I must admit. I probably look at it because I'm not looking at the camera at all now. I'm just staring at the box.
It's like eyes up here, Jamie. Eyes up here, not down here. Up here.
I've made my choice.
Yeah.
But yeah, I fell in love. But as a friend of mine says, I'm the biggest fan of Pokemon he knows that never plays any of the games because I haven't played a lot. I've dabbled with all of the games, but I just fell in love with the world of Pokemon and the art style. And I still love the games when I get a chance to sit down and play them. But because I sort of ended up I was PC, then I was Xbox, and I'm back to PC and Xbox. And
we've got a question about what is your favorite starter Pokemon?
Starter?
Yeah.
Charmander.
Charmander. Ooh. So I'm a noob. So what is a Charmander? Come on.
Charmander is an adorable little lizard that breathes fire.
Oh, okay.
And Charmander is responsible for possibly one of the most heartbreaking moments of my childhood because there's an episode of the anime where if Charmander's tail flame goes out, he will die because obviously... Oh, anime likes to make sure that kids are traumatized at every possible opportunity, as we all know. So, and there is an episode where there's just a Charmander curled up on a rock holding a leaf over his own tail flame in the rain, and it is heartbreaking.
Oh my goodness.
And what's worse is that they brought out the Sun and Moon Burning Shadows expansion for the trading card game, and the artwork for Charmander is Charmander curled up on this damn rock with the leaf. And it led to my son branding it the Burning Sorrows expansion because there are so many cards in that set that are just sad, just Pokemon that look like they're on the edge of life.
Do you still have your card collection?
So I started collecting Pokemon cards at the ripe age of 33.
Eric says, "I love you. Charmander is the best."
Yeah, I love Charmander. He's such a little dude. And then Charizard, when he evolves, is a huge dragon, which appeals to me. But no, I started collecting the cards at 33. I always wanted to collect as a kid, but there was nowhere to get them around me. And so I never really... I had a couple of packs over the years, I think, and I don't know where they ever went because I was an idiot and didn't keep them. But it was like my 30th... I think it was actually my birthday, and I'd been given some Amazon vouchers. Went to Amazon, I was looking at DVDs as I normally do, and I'd been watching a lot of Pokemon card openings with my son, and I was like, nah, do you know what? I'm going to order a couple of packs of Pokemon cards out and see what's in them.
Quite right.
And now I have thousands. I don't know how many I've got, but just there's a 35-litre tub sat here somewhere, which is just full of bits and pieces. And
tell you what, I'm going to get you back on the Weekend Catch Up Club, and we're gonna have a look at these cards, and you're gonna tell me about them, like your favorite ones and stuff. So
I will bore the internet to death with Pokemon.
I think we've got lots of fans that are eager and excited to see because a lot of new generation, their only experience of Pokemon is going to be like Pokemon Go or the Sword and Shield game, which has just came out. Well, I say just came out a couple of years now on the Nintendo Switch. Like the online digital versions, they may not even be aware that it was originally a card game, a physical card game. So I think this is education. We are teaching the minds of youth of today all about
This is history.
About history lessons, yes. Pokemon history lesson. With Uncle Jamie.
I'll need a cardigan. You want a big tartan high back chair.
I'll wear a professor coat then. I'll be like the nutty professor, and you can wear the cardigan. But you can be Bill the science guy. That can be you.
Oh, I can do that. I'm just insane enough for that, I think.
Yeah.
And there's every chance of something around me might explode at any moment, so that works too.
Awesome. Well, buddy, thank you for joining me today. Where can people get in touch with you? Where can we all find you?
We are at Midgame Crisis on Twitter, and we're Midgame Crisis on Facebook, and we're trovo.live/Midgame Crisis.
Awesome. Well, Jamie, again, thank you for hanging out with me today. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been the Weekend Catch-Up Club, brought to you live every Saturday on Facebook. at 10 a.m. and it is going to be available later on catch up at youtube.com/gamertag. But for now, take care, have a great rest of your weekend, and we will see you on the next one. Take care. Bye bye.
Daddy bye.